Back in 2007, the Fiat 500 was relaunched, and you only have to look around any city street to see what a success that became. These little cars are absolutely adored by the people who buy them, and for good reason. Now, for this model year, the car has received a bit of a facelift, and you do have to look quite hard, to be fair, to find some of the differences. But some key features are the new headlights and quite distinctive actually rear lights. There's a few nips and tucks to the chrome detailing on the car, but overall it retains those same proportions, the cutesy round headlights. It's a very small car. I mean, okay, the original Mini was a tiny little car, but we can't keep comparing everything to the original Mini. By today's standards, the Fiat 500 is actually a very small car. It's designed for the city, and I have to say it's a utter joy actually to drive around busy places when you see other people struggling with their cumbersome SUVs and you just park in a ridiculously tiny space with ease. Visually it's very unique, and it's got that, you know, that character to it, doesn't it? So many cars are soulless today, they're white goods, but this just definitely has a slightly cheeky demeanour to it. Our Fiat 500 today is equipped with the 0.9 litre two-cylinder twin-air petrol engine. Now that sounds absolutely tiny, but it is a little car. The two-cylinder engine actually proves to be more than ample. It has about 104 brake horsepower and 145 newton meters of torque. Yes, this two-cylinder engine is no Ferrari V8, and you do have to work it quite hard through its 6-speed manual gearbox to get anywhere quickly. But 0 to 60 miles an hour in 10 seconds isn't too bad for this class of car, and it definitely has its other perks. I mean, Fiat claim that it'll do 67 mpg and emit just 99 grams per kilometre of CO2. And much like the rest of the car, it might not be the most refined, but it's got character. That little two-cylinder thrum going on there, it's fizzy, it's peppy, it's like a little excited dog. And you know, it's actually quite enjoyable, teamed with its really short wheelbase. It's quite enjoyable actually to throw around. Now inside it is pure Italian style. This top specification lounge model here is finished with this two-tone dashboard that matches the exterior colour and the cream that matches these half leather seats. The seats might not be the most supportive thing in the world, but they're quite comfortable to sit on. Obviously, the designers of the 500 aren't expecting you to go and take this to the Nürburgring, so bolstering probably wasn't very high on their agenda, but they're quite comfortable. Also found in the interior is this touchscreen infotainment display, which houses all of your usual phone connectivity. It's optioned with navigation as well. What I will say is that the display is only 5 inches, and by today's standards that's actually quite a small screen. What I would recommend optioning also is this 7-inch TFT display. It does all of your speedometer, rev counter, etc. But also whenever it comes to navigation, it will display directions in front of you, which is a bit more ergonomic than having to look at the much smaller screen on the center console. Though the interior is quite small in here, this car's optioned with this glass panoramic roof which opens and slides back, giving you a nice amount of fresh air and sunshine in the car. Doesn't feel claustrophobic in here in the slightest actually. The back seats, however, are a bit of a squeeze. Totally fine for children, but they're more for occasional use if you're going to put adults back there. Obviously, being a small car, it has a 185 litre boot. It's enough for a couple of bags. It's certainly not enough for a trip to IKEA, but again, keep bearing in mind that this is a city car. I think it's probably ample for the class of car that it is. Something else our test car is optioned with is these larger alloy wheels, which look fantastic on the car. Again, that really stylish contrast between the darker paint and the spokes of the alloys. However, I have to say, it does introduce a bit more road noise into the cabin having the larger alloy wheels. The ride, though, is actually surprisingly good for a little car like this. City cars tend to fall into potholes and things, but this one smooths out imperfections on the road quite nicely. Now, on the dashboard, we have a button marked Sport. Now, these buttons usually are a bit superficial, really. They don't tend to do an awful lot. But the change is quite notable in the 500. So you push Sport, the TFT display that I mentioned down here changes, and throttle response increases slightly, but the big change is the weighting of the steering. It becomes much heavier, and in this mode it's really good fun to take the car onto some twisting B roads and just watch it, you know, dart about like a mosquito. Its change of direction really is very good. There's a good amount of grip on offer, and yeah, it allows you to be quite precise with your inputs. I like it, actually. The sport mode seems to be something that's worthwhile in this car. You're obviously not going to be going very quickly, but you don't necessarily need to be going very quickly to have a good time, a la MX-5. The new Fiat 500 starts from £11,050, and I have to say, it sells on more than just its looks.
Thanks very much for watching, and let us know what you think in the comments below. Please subscribe for more on the latest and greatest cars to hit the road. For all of the latest automotive news, written reviews and coverage from motor shows, go to www.insidelane.co.uk.